Alright, guys, welcome into LiveStream under the Moonshine, number 300. And for this special episode, guys, I have my girlfriend Addie here. I know Addie's really been enjoying listening to me read the letter. The first 7 episodes, I think it's about 8 or 9 hours, something like that so far, that we're into this game. I know Addie's really been enjoying it. Addie, in the last part, we saw a real divide. We was already starting to see the cracks in the relationship between Hannah and her husband Luke. And then something devastating really happened at the very beginning when her best friend, or her friend Rochelle, came up at the party, at their housewarming party, and basically was pissed off at her husband Luke, pointing at him and saying that you got me pregnant, you promised to take care of my baby. What did you think about all that drama there at the party? Ready? All that.
I thought that maybe she was exaggerating, but then it seems like he probably did do it, so
Do you think he did get her pregnant? Your thoughts on that?
I'm leaning towards that, yeah.
And we know he's
I'm
an
hoping
ass.
I'm wrong, but
Yeah, we know he's an ass. He basically said the N-word several times, a slur towards Zachary, who we already know is a great guy. Not just because he has my name, but that he plays a character that even I would be envious of, that I'd want to try to better myself to be more like him, the character in the visual novel.
Yeah, he's an all-around good guy.
For sure. And it's easy to see why Hannah or anybody else would, be attracted to him, especially when they have the direct opposite of Zachary as a husband that she's been married to, stuck with. But towards the end of that, when she decided she was going to tell him that she wanted a break, and Luke had basically surprised her and not really gotten too angry or tried to hold on to her, or he just didn't get really mad, super mad at her like she kind of expected, like I kind of expected. And he was like, all right then, whatever, And then we saw that he had opened the hatch because she heard moaning and weird sounds and a woman crying in that hatch in the kitchen of their new mansion. And she got sucked into the darkness. Remember, she fell into the darkness under that hatch. And she said that it felt like she was dying and alive all at the same time, and she didn't want to live, but she wanted to die, and all this different stuff because there was so much pain and suffering and evil, and how the darkness was tearing her apart. But then her husband, Luke, came and saved her and pulled her up from the darkness. And that was probably one of the most beautiful elements we saw as far as the artwork, where he embraced her. I guess the question for you is, do you think that him saving her from what she thought was a sure death there inside that hatch, do you think that's going to change anything? Do you think she's still going to want the breakup after that?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah. We may not know. We may not know for a while. Right now, we've taken the role of Zachary, and we've seen that he's dealing with a lot of, he's dealing with a lot of struggles himself, and a lot of past demons, if you would, and that are attacking him. It looks like mainly when he's sleeping. He's remembering definitely something about what looks to be his father getting shot when he was a child. Can't even imagine that. So we saw Isabel early in the visual novel lose her friend Rose, and she's going through a lot of hell. We saw her knock on Zachary's door at midnight and wake him up, but it was actually kind of saved him. So in a way, Zachary's best friend Isabella, I guess, he kind of saved Zachary from the demons of his own dream. We saw Hannah's husband save her from the demons that was in that hatch. And then, in the last episode, we kind of saw Zachary also save his best friend Isabella from some of the demons she was dealing with losing her best relative friend, Rose. So, of all the characters, who are you drawing the most Who's your favorite, I guess? Who's your favorite character in the visual novel so far? Because we've taken the point of view of both Isabella, Hannah, and now Zachary. Who is your favorite character and why?
Honestly, I kind of like Hannah. As much as she's kind of full of herself and stuff, I think that she's growing.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of grown on me.
She's kind of more relatable than some of the others, maybe, to you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily relatable, but I just have empathy for her.
Oh, right. With being
Because
in
I
the bad
think a lot of people, but a lot of people sit there and portray rich people as just snobby and stuck up, and a lot of times I just think she's just naive and.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think she was kind of regretting buying that big mansion that
Yeah.
that they bought. She bought with her
Because
husband.
if you listen to her through the story, a lot of that stuff was Luke, not her.
Yeah. Well, maybe Luke will. Maybe this will change Luke as well. Maybe he'll start being a better husband. I kind of doubt it, but what do you think? Maybe? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not.
All right, guys. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump back into the special episode of live stream of the Moonshine number 300, and this is part 8 of the letter. So let me go ahead and get that started right here. Hopefully I remember to save. I did. And this is still Zachary. Darkness immediately welcomes me as soon as my head hits my makeshift pillow. I can only wish the dreams will keep me keep at a distance for now. Yeah, the dreams, he means the nightmares of him being a child and his father getting shot is what it seems like for both of us. October 25th, a Tuesday. Zachary's room in the morning. The first few notes, while muffled, are enough to wake me. In the end, it became one of those nights when sleep passes like a blink and is plagued with vague, fuzzy thoughts. I lift a hand to rub away the drowsiness from my eyes, although it does little to relieve the gritty, burning sensation from my eyelids. Outside, the sun has yet to peek over the horizon. The night has already given way to the cool morning light, washing away everything in subtle gray hues. At this hour, the entire city remains unstirring. Ordinarily, waking up before my own alarm means abusing the snooze button. Twice or thrice, I like that thrice, just to catch those precious extra few minutes of sleep. But the persistent ringing makes it impossible now.
This
Hug.
better be good.
It's better be good, he says. Groggily, I scramble for the bag sitting at the foot of the bed. Yeah. The ringing still hasn't stopped, even as I fish the phone out. An Ashton name flashes brightly on the screen as I turn it on. But he is persistent about him to answer, isn't he? That's his best friend, by the way, guys. Must be pretty urgent if he hasn't dropped the call yet.
Took you long enough, Z-Man.
Ashton, it's 6 in the morning. The sun hasn't even risen. Hell, my brain ain't even awake yet. Stop calling me Z-Man.
It's 20 past 6, Zach.
You want to talk? Give me back my 5 extra minutes, Ash. I want my sleep.
Hey, don't make fun of me. I can be a more person too if I want to.
What's this all really about? You don't usually make calls around this hour. Is the world ending today?
Is the world ending today?
Sorry about that. Becca rang me up a few minutes ago looking for Isabella. Said she didn't show up in her own apartment last night. We both tried calling, but her phone seems to be off. Do you have any idea where...
I should have known you two would come looking for her first thing in the morning.
Not a laughing matter, Zach. You can't really let your guard down with everything that's happened here recently. You've heard about the Cooper woman from the news. Everyone in the precinct has been restless ever since the incident the other day.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Listen, Ash, about Bella.
I let my voice trail off, unsure of how to go about recounting last night. if I should even say anything at all to him. He might be a close friend, but at the end of the day, whatever's bothering her ain't mine to speak of in the first place. On the bed, Isabella remains as still as when I transferred her the night before. Sometime during her sleep, she pulls up a blanket over herself and tucked into it comfortably. Like this, it's easy to forget the horror in her eyes or how much her hands and lips are trembling. Save for her firm grip on the edge of the cover, she appears nearly as normal as she would any other day. Almost.
I'm not really sure how to go about this while being...
Zach, what about her?
Something, the worry, the concern, must have surfaced in my tone because his own shifts then. Tone shifts then. Carefully, as if he's preparing for the worst.
Look, you don't have to worry about her. She's with me right now. Since last night, in fact.
Oh, why didn't you just say so earlier?
She kinda knocked in the middle of the night. I couldn't possibly wake you two over that. And with how things are when she arrived, I thought it'd be best if I let her rest first. I just wasn't expecting people would be looking for her before the rooster even crows.
You could have at least called her something. Becca's beside herself with worry when she found out. You know how much she frets about the smallest stuff.
I know. I'm sorry. That was a lapse on my part. And I just didn't think... Okay, you know what? Rebecca's worries ain't completely baseless. Isabella hasn't been her usual self since the movie. Maybe even before that.
That's true.
I don't know if I should be opening my mouth about this, but Bella didn't outright say I shouldn't, so...
So something's wrong then?
I'm not quite sure, to be completely honest. I couldn't get the story out of her.
Really? I thought you had learned something from me by now.
That's not it. Ash, when she appeared at my doorstep last night, she was shaking, and when I tried to ask her about it, she just panicked. Had this frightened look on her face. I'd be surprised if this was the first time I've seen it, but it ain't. Dude, the first time, she was screaming.
First time? When was this? You weren't talking about the thing in the movie house, are you? Because that was just us fooling around. Granted, I think I went overboard with the joke, but...
No, it happened the day after. When she invited us to lunch, you weren't there. We were walking one second, and then the next, she's crying out. I'll be straight with you. That scared me shitless.
It bothered him if the way he falls silent after is telling. But whatever his opinion is stays absent from his voice when he speaks again. He's always been really good with that, hiding whatever it is he thinks.
Did she say anything else?
Nothing. Won't tell me anything aside from a few vague words. I didn't want to push it.
Where is she? Is she still sleeping?
Right here with me, still sleeping. Should I wake her up or something? Let her know you guys are looking for her?
No need. Let her rest. I'll drop by in a few.
Today? Don't you have work at this time? I mean, I can drop her off home myself before meeting my client later.
Look who's talking.
My schedule's flexible, Ash. Last time I checked, you're the one who didn't have that luxury. How on earth do you think I'm able to tag along when you need me?
It's not completely out of the way.
They live on the other side of the town from you, Ash. Your definition of out of the way is a little screwed up, you know.
It's fine. I have some things I need to do anyway. I'll call you back. I've got to let Becca know that Scared Cat's fine. Bye.
He drops the call before I can even get a word in, and for several minutes after, I find myself simply listening as the rest of Luxborn browses. The increasing sound of passing traffic, the bustle of the nearby shops preparing for the day, and the growing clamor of the people while they go about their morning. Not the most soothing sounds to hear following a troubled night, but the routine puts me at ease nevertheless. It's comforting. What's safe is comforting, and it's what I'm used to. Nearby, Isabella shifts, but she doesn't wake up, blissfully unaware as the city slowly stirs itself back to life. Was her night as restless as the one I had? Were her dreams as lucid? In hushed moments like this, I do envy her. Unreasonable, probably a little unfair to say such in the light of last night. If only forgetting is as easy as breathing. A small yawn escapes me when I rise from the couch and stretch. Luckily, the short conversation with Ash has effectively driven away any will to go back to bed. I still have the day to get through despite the proverbial ghost hanging around. Yeah, that'd be tough. The orange bottle sitting on the edge of the table is reassuring against my palm the instant I pick it up. The sterile odor of the capsules, equally so. What kind of medication do you think that is, Addie?
Sleeping pills. I don't know.
I don't think it'd be sleeping pills. It'd probably be something for a headache, maybe?
Ibuprofen.
Yet the weight they carry is something I've never gotten used to. Years ago, I'd spend minutes, heck even hours, staring at a single pill prior to taking one in. Now it's just routine, a way to stave off the unwanted nightly visits. Although I don't think Dr. Navarro will be quite pleased if he ever finds out I'm relying on them again. I do owe him a visit regardless, especially after missing our appointments on purpose and ignoring his calls for weeks. Hey, Mickey, welcome in. Another sigh comes out, tired and weary, and when I pop the tablet, and then I pop the tablet into my mouth.
Zach?
Oh,
What
she's
time
up.
is it?
The bottle on my hand hits the table with more force than necessary. As much as I trust my friends, there are some things I'd rather keep to myself.
Morning, Bella. Did you sleep well?
She answers the question after a long, drawn-out yawn, one reminiscent of a child. A chuckle manages to come out of my mouth at that sight. In this manner, it's easy to mistake her for someone too young for any responsibility. Inexperienced and immature even. She does look young, doesn't she? Easy to forget that she was thrust into the role of an adult earlier than her own dreams can afford. To overlook how surprisingly observant she can be at times. Maybe not on the same level Ash exercises for his investigations or Rebecca needs for her own work, but it's certainly enough to deftly put what she needs and sees around her on a canvas. And if the way her eyes flicker to the table on my hand says something, it is that I won't be able to avoid this questions this time.
Only a little. I don't remember how I ended up on the bed, though.
My doing. You didn't look very comfortable sleeping on the couch, all hunched up like that.
It would have been enough for something temporary. Sorry I stole your bed.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Besides, what kind of gentleman would I be if I leave a lady sleeping in such uncomfortable conditions? Not in this house. My nana will give me a tough scolding if I ever did that, I'm telling you.
Thanks a lot, Zach. I know I barged in at a very inconvenient time last night.
Yeah, you gotta give Zach's parents and his mom probably a lot of credit for the way he is today. Good upbringing.
I wasn't really thinking when I did, and...
Hey, it's cool, Bella. I ain't mad at you. That's what friends do. You guys are welcome here anytime. Although Ashton abuses the anytime part a lot, I don't really mind. We might have less wiggle room if all four of us are present, considering the size of this place. But as long as no one makes anything explode, it's totally fine.
Fine or not, I still owe you one for last night's trouble, especially since you don't seem to be...
A concerned expression passes over her features as she spares another cursory glance over the table, back to the bottle holding every piece of what keeps the bad memories at bay. The blood blooming over Pa's heart, the horrified look on Ma's face as she watches him fall lifeless to the ground, and every ounce of spite seeping from the stranger's smile. That's fucked up. That's harsh. Poor Zach, man. Can you imagine him seeing that as a child? No wonder he's still having nightmares today as an adult. You don't belong here. The monkeys don't belong here. It never stops, does it? Or if he was thinking, if we look back at this, guys, he's talking about whoever killed his father said, "You don't belong here. You monkeys don't belong here." Wow. Pretty racist fucker. It never stops, does it?
Well, you don't seem to be feeling well. Let me know, okay? I'll make it up to you somehow.
She makes a slight gesture with her head towards the bottle, asking a question without really asking. Supply has never been one of her greatest assets, but right now, even Ash would have been a little amazed, if not at a loss for words, if that. She has left it up to me whether I'll give her the response that she wants to hear or not. Should I play it off or tell her the truth, Addie? A little clever coming from her if anyone would ask me.
Tell the truth.
I think that's also the plausible thing. I think Zachary would be honest with his really good friend, Isabella here. It's never gonna be easy, is it? Talking about my own problems, that is. It never will be, not by a long shot. Not when I've let it stay this way for so long. I realized that long ago when the wounds were still fresh and the dreams are a nightly occurrence. A nightly occurrence, he's having those nightmares about his dad dying. Man, that would be hard to live through every night. You just can't force yourself to get better or move on to better things. It is what's normal now, and I can only cope. The question in her eyes may be unwarranted, born simply out of curiosity and sincere concern for her friend. I don't owe her an explanation, in fact. But of all the people I keep close to in my life, she's probably one of the very few who perhaps I can trust with this. Maybe she won't understand entirely. I can never hope she will. No, never to the full extent. That alone is expecting too much of her, and giving too much of what I can. However, for all her shortcomings, I know she'll hear me out here. And that is all I can ask of her.
My bad. I was kind of hoping you wouldn't have seen me with these.
The pills rattle lightly against the container when I gently set it back, usual place. Always a small area closest to my laptop, near the right hand. Within reach whenever, and a quiet reminder of what I shouldn't miss every day.
What? Oh, is it bad? I was just thinking that maybe it's a cold like Becca's.
Mm-mm.
Do you need me to get anything from the store? Soup or something? There's one nearby, right? I can run real quick and...
Isabella, if only it were that easy. I'm sure he just wishes it was a mere cold.
No, nothing of that sort. I'm perfectly healthy right now. It's really difficult to say, but can you promise me you'll listen at least?
What is this about, Zach?
I should have been upfront with you about this a long time ago. But Ashton found out without me telling him anything. But you already know how that guy is. Can't hide anything from him.
If it's something you're having trouble saying, you don't have to force yourself to tell me. I'll forget I ever saw anything and won't ask questions. Promise.
Wow, that's a pretty good friend. You'd be like, you know what? This is hard for you. You know, you don't have to tell me. She's quite the gal. She's quite mature there.
No, I need to get this off my chest eventually. Besides, we're already here. Might as well finish what I started, yeah?
If you say so.
She may just be unready to hear. She may be knowing that this is going to be hard to hear, too. She takes a seat on the couch, her posture easy and open. Her smile is honest. As if this is just a simple talk between two friends on any old regular day. It is far from one, but her unreserved air is enough to stamp down the twinge of unease that threatens to come up.
Let's hear it then.
And she does. Gotta share a painful memory to a friend achievement. True to her words, she listens while the story spills out of my mouth, of my maw, and of my paw. That little old diner across the pond, and what it left in me that day. I can't recall most of it now, My own account jagged with a few missing details here and there. The passing years have eroded most of my recollection of the whole incident. All except for the one moment in my kitchen. The ringing of gunshots are as vivid as it sounded that very day. Even Ma's hysterical screams the moment Pa's body hit the floor motionless, his lifeblood flowing out of him, under him. And the gunman, he was smiling. He was smiling when Pa opened the door to welcome him. He was smiling when he put a bullet to Pa's chest and to Ma's head. Oh shit. I've heard stories of how the world can be a cruel place for people like us before. I've never believed it till that moment. Talking about blacks and African Americans, yeah, I mean, we've seen the prejudice that people can hold for people that bleed the same, but are just of a different skin color. We've seen the prejudice and how awful and evil it can be when we look back at what happened to George Floyd back in the summer of COVID in 2020 up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That story, when I saw that, when I heard the actual tape, the video, it was a video that somebody had shot of those moments, 8 minutes, while George Floyd laid there and died, and nothing but evil prejudice by cops that were prejudiced as hell. When I watched those moments go by as he died, that was heart-wrenching and it put tears in my eyes. And when you see something like that, when you hear stories like that, when you hear something as real as that happen, you realize that there is still a lot of hate. And that's exactly what Zachary's talking about here. He never believed it until he saw it, that very moment that he saw his father get shot by the gunman and a bullet get put in the head of his own mother. Wow. I wonder how Isabella's going to take this.
Nan and Gran took us right after that. Sis and I flew straight to New Jersey as soon as they heard the news.
Yeah.
A few days after, Ma and Pa were laid to rest. And we have a new home a continent away. I didn't even get the chance to take my favorite pillow with me. They said something about the change of environment would be good for us. They had no idea the different kind of ghosts would follow me here.
Damn. I expected questions, mostly those brimming with childlike curiosity, and maybe some that are a little too hard to answer. But to her credit, she just sat there, lent her ears, and looked at me with no expectations or unnecessary judgment in her eyes. She appears wiser and older like this, easier to see the breadwinner in her. Her younger siblings are lucky to have her. When I'm done, after everything's been said, she just wraps her arms around me. A bit awkward considering the gap in our heights, but it gets her sentiment across, nonetheless. But it is difficult to answer this in kind, if I am even supposed to reciprocate the gesture given my earlier apprehension. She pulls away shortly with a smile on her face. Not the reaction I braced myself for, but it is obviously better than what I had imagined.
Are you not gonna say anything?
Am I supposed to say anything after? Like, apologize or something? I don't think that's very appropriate, but if you want to hear one, I can think of something real quick.
Not really. Other people have something to say after usually. And they're not necessarily nice either.
Yeah.
Oh, okay then. I won't. I can't think of something anyway. Sorry, I'm not very good with this. Who else knows, by the way?
My older sister, grandparents, and just Ash and you for now. Maybe I think I should tell Rebecca too, but...
But not right now?
Yeah, not right now. But I'm ready. Like today.
I'm sure she'll be willing to hear you out once you do.
I don't doubt she will. I'm more afraid of how she'll react after. One step at a time, yeah? Whew! Surprisingly, it feels good to get that one out my chest. I was a little afraid you'd be angrier. I didn't tell you earlier than today.
I'm not angry. I'm just surprised. You didn't look like it. I wouldn't have suspected. I suppose that's how it often is, isn't it? We all have our, what's the word Becca uses? Inner demons?
Nope.
But this is something personal to you. I understand why you'd rather have a few people know.
That too. Well, these past few weeks haven't been easy for you. I didn't want to add that. Not after last night.
Something passes in her face, brief, fleeting, but it disappears right before I can recognize what it is.
You okay?
Yep, no worries. I'll be fine. Look, about last night, never mind. This isn't a good time.
Uh-oh.
But don't lose sleep over this, alright? What's important is you got what you want to say out. And if you need me, I'll be here.
I should be relieved. Her words are more than reassuring to my ears. There should be comfort in hearing those alone, in knowing I have another person to rely on if things ever go bad. But somehow I find myself worrying more for her than. I'll make another attempt to get the story out of her, or to get the story out of her if I can. But this is a dance I know all too well, and with her, I doubt forcing her to say something will yield any good results. As much as I want to imitate Ash, there's only so much I can ask that won't result in something a little over disastrous. At best, she'll stop talking to me until a week passes. At worst, I'd rather not risk it. I've never, ever seen her angry. Outright annoyed, maybe, and often directed at Ash, but never outright furious. What do they say again about the happiest people when angered? Besides, it'd be unfair to her after our little chat.
So, food then?
She seems relieved at the brisk change of a subject, and as if it has been simply waiting for its cue all this time, her stomach rumbles. I was wondering what that growling was at the mention of food. That's funny, her tummy rumbles. Rather loudly, as a matter of fact.
Alrighty, Missy. We're going to get some chow now. Better be quick, though. Can't have your stomach starting a revolution on us here.
Don't make fun of me. I'm not that hungry.
Right.
Maybe a little. I didn't think I'd end up skipping
again.
dinner last night.
And now we have one starved stomach protesting. Sorry, it'll be nothing fancy, since I'm a little low on stocks. I should probably drop by the grocery store after the meeting this afternoon.
I can make a quick run for you if you want.
Nah, I've got enough to put together something nice here. Maybe. I could always improvise if we're missing an ingredient or two. It ain't like we're going for a Michelin 3-star status here. Also, didn't I say you're a guest? Is this a Filipino thing? Or just Rebecca rubbing off on you?
The soft laughter that comes from her doesn't quite reach her eyes. Neither. The answer is neither. Because if she stays idle, she'll remember.
On second thought, I might need a little help slicing up the potatoes while I prep the ham. You up for that?
What? Do you think instant noodles are all I'm about? I'll have you know I can cook a mean paella with my eyes closed. All my siblings love it.
Sure you can. Come on. I think I know what we'll do with those spare ingredients.
Alright. Despite the massive effort to keep the mood light with small chatter, cooking ends up being a mostly quiet affair. Between us, the consistent clapping of the knife against the board and the muffled noise from the television I left running, words have become surprisingly difficult to string together. Not entirely unusual. We've had moments like this before, but definitely unnerving with how things are right now. I really wish someone will come knocking on our door. As pleasant as this is, breaking the ice or keeping the conversation going has never been my forte. That has always been Isabella's or Rebecca's department. Sometimes Ash's, although most coming from him border or are on awkward or embarrassing. Speaking of the guy, he never did call back, and I'm willing to bet my entire yearly salary that he fell right back to sleep right after that call. Well, there's a knock on the door.
Sorry, Bella. Could you...
Yep, I got it. The potatoes are almost ready, by the way. I turned down the heat just in case. You might want to check on them, though. Hold on, I'll be right there. Sheesh, wait up. If you keep rapping at the door like that, you'll break it down. Ash.
Oh, good. You're awake.
Ash has already welcomed himself in when I take my eyes away from the oven. He's never been really keen about the notion of courtesies after he's warmed up to you, this guy. All 13 of my locks he broke can attest to that. Funny, look at those blue eyes, though. He's a good fellow, though. Maybe a bit standoffish at first glance, but he is trustworthy.
Don't you have work today?
I could ask the same of you. Hey, Z-Man.
You're late. Something came up? You need to drop the Z-Man. It's getting old.
Sorry, I got caught up with something at the precinct on the way here. Had to attend to that first before things got out of hand. I'd tell you about it, but you know how it can be with those kinds of things. Later, maybe.
And you're here because...
What? I'm not allowed to say hello?
I doubt you're here because of that. And you're not answering my question.
Ah, my bad. Forgot to mention that. He called earlier looking for you. Rebecca's worried because you didn't come home last night.
You could have called my cell instead.
You weren't picking up. Anyway, I'd really hate to cut this little get-together short, but I need to be somewhere else. Come on, Isabella, let's get you home. I'll drop you off on the way.
Wait, we're going now?
He lightly claps a hand on her arm and begins ushering her out of the apartment, throwing a casual wave at me as they pass. Isabella, on the other hand, doesn't appear too fond of this idea. And sure enough, before they could even cross the threshold, he puts a firm foot down, a force alone enough to halt them both and catch the taller man off guard. It would have made for a very funny picture. The way Ash almost crashes into her and Isabella giving him an indignant pout over her shoulder. Surprise and confusion are on his face all at once, two things that rarely grace his face if he can help it. A rare moment even for our small group. If only I had a camera with me. Dang.
What is it?
Zach cooked something.
If it's just food, I'll get you something on the way back.
But the food! It's Zach's cooking. Real delicious food that actually tastes like food. At least stay and have a bite. Please, Zach, help me here.
These two, whenever they are in the same room, sometimes it feels like herding a group of unruly kids instead of talking to two mature adults. One moment they're engaged in a pleasant chit-chat, and the next they're bickering over some minor issue. Frankly, if I didn't know any better, and I have an overactive imagination, I'd say there's something going on. Never mind how utterly impossible that idea is. Or it might just be me reading too much into things like I always do. I can already hear Ash's laughter, if so much as suggests such. This, however, I cooked up a feast, or I know you're busy. What do you think I should say here, Addie? Do you think they might have a thing going on? I don't know. I mean, the way he did call up really concerned about where she was at, but he certainly didn't show any kind of jealousy, like she slept at your apartment or anything like that, but he probably trusted that Zach wouldn't do anything, or...
Right. I don't know.
He's probably reading too much into it.
Yeah, let's do I cooked up a feast.
Okay.
I don't know about you two, but I think you guys should really stay. I've already made enough food for all of us, and it'd be a waste. Why, I cooked up that special honey glazed hams you two keep on yapping about.
That does sound
Got
good.
some scalloped potatoes with onions and cheddar to go with it too.
I'm all up for that, Zachary. The oven timer dings. I shoot the two of them an apologetic look before sauntering over the kitchen, mittens in hand. The sweet smell of the glaze and the salty tang of melted cheese wafts through the air as soon as I open the door and take out the two trays inside. The scent immediately fills the entire room, and even with the odor and the windows open, The mouth-watering aroma lingers. And her tummy growls us again. That's funny. It's appealing enough that when I put the dishes down on the counter, another starved stomach protests loudly, followed by a burst of laughter. My head snaps at the two of them, and I can't keep back the smile at the sight that they make. Isabella is clinging to the door frame for support, doubled over with breathless laughter. That's fun. Ash is more composed of the two, trying to look over-concerned, but a flush has crept up his neck and through his cheeks. He's embarrassed about his stomach growing. It's clear whose stomach that came from, and Isabella is not going to let him live this down.
You're in no place to reject an offer of free food, Frey.
I wasn't rejecting anything. Damn it, I just missed a meal, that's all.
Aw, he's flustered.
Shut it! Those guys at the precinct said it was urgent. Somebody has to be responsible for it.
Well, aren't you precious?
Right. You know, if you keep laughing like that, you'll burst.
I'm sure it won't be as bad as your stomach suddenly rumbling like a starved.
Hi, kiddos, play nice. Food's gonna get cold if we keep this up. Ash, you gonna stay?
Might as well, since Scaredy Cat's so hell-bent on staying.
Oh, it's too funny. Look at that. Awesome. A hearty meal. We eventually settle down after the food has been served. The jibes are replaced by another round of friendly chatter, mostly about what's on the news the night before. There is, however, a conscious effort to avoid mentioning what's currently on the headlines. The dead is never a good topic to talk over food in polite company. This case in particular. The wounds are too fresh. It's just too soon. I'd likely avoid it as well if I were in her position, and someone I personally knew passed away in a gruesome manner like that. Though perhaps the closest we got to broaching the topic is when the infamous mansion is brought up yet again. But even then, we are careful, Ash and I. We keep the conversation light and avoid bringing up her late business partner. It's the least we could do for her.
The Wrights? Yeah, they're planning to move in soon. In fact, they already have a housewarming party planned.
Yeah, this is before the housewarming party.
It's why they wanted us to rush the papers. They wanted to send the invitations out as soon as possible.
Oh, now I get it.
Get what?
Remember what I told you last night about the new clients?
Vaguely? Sorry, I was a little out of it yesterday. Was it the photo shoot?
Yep, it's actually for the one you sold. Something. When you put it that way, I suppose it makes sense why my boss wants me to prioritize the couple. They can have those documents rushed at just a snap of their fingers. And they're more influential than I initially thought. Man, I guess my boss is expecting a lot more from this project than I expected. Hope I can live up to it.
Must be nice to be rich, right?
Your photographs are more than good enough, Zach. You'd probably win an international award if you let yourself. Ma'am Hana's easy to please, too. As long as you're good at following instructions.
Easier said than done. Different clients have different tastes, after all.
Still, a week? I don't think that's possible.
Now that you mentioned it, yeah. They wanted everything finished at the earliest. To be honest, it's not unheard of, but...
But it's still weird. Still weird, yeah?
A slip of the tongue. Feel barely noticeable to someone who's already familiar with Ash's ways. Yet in this moment, it's impossible to miss. I shoot him a curious glance, but he ignores it. Rather pointedly.
I can't exactly say it's like that, where I'm just the middleman after all. As much as I want to comment on it, I only know what's on the surface, not the in and outs. It's just that BRC and my boss are more hands-on with the legal stuff this time, despite having a separate department dedicated to it.
Maybe Mr. Wright helped with it too. They have their own legal team for this, don't they?
Well, they should have one. Especially for a big property like this.
They have, but like I said, it's off our hands. Rose and I don't handle this stuff in the office. If anything, to me, this just means I'll be able to send the rest of the funds to Papa's treatment earlier.
I guess that makes a whole lot of sense. Officially off our instant noodle diet, aren't we?
Ash, Has anyone ever told you that you have an uncanny way of ruining the mood?
What? I was just saying. A few more months of stuffing your face with those, and I'm sure you'll start to look like a noodle cup.
I'm sure.
That's a pretty picture.
At least I don't live off convenience store food. Or make poor, unassuming pressure cookers explode.
What? How
They
did
just
you...
go at it all the time, don't they?
Oh, come on, Zach.
Sorry, it just came up while we were cooking earlier.
I'm impressed, Ashton Frey. You even made it to the news.
A one-time thing. And it wasn't as big as you seem to be imagining.
Oh, sure. Let's all pretend that one time you almost set my apartment on fire didn't happen too.
Hey, that was an accident.
You were making a salad, Ash.
He was making a salad and almost caught her kitchen on fire. What the hell?
Can we please move on to a different topic?
It helps, the casual talk, the harmless teasing, the mundane stories interesting enough to let time pass unnoticed. By the time lunch ends, the shadows are no longer at forefront of my mind. If it's the same for Isabella, for whatever troubles her, I can never tell. These things, the anxiety, the fear, they ain't easily seen, ain't easily forgotten after all.
You go on ahead. I've got a few things I need to ask Zach. I'll be downstairs in a minute.
Confusion briefly flashes in her eyes as she catches the keys he tosses over, but he doesn't give her an answer, and waits for her to go ahead.
How sure are you I won't be driving away with your Shirley?
You don't even have a license. Do you even know how to?
Papa taught me how. I'm probably a better driver than you. See you later, Zach. Thanks for the food.
Always has to have the last word, don't you?
You're welcome. I'll send you the recipe for the potatoes tonight.
A grin is back on her face when she leaves and closes the door behind her. And for a little while after we're left alone, Zach goes wholly quiet, listening, waiting for her remaining footsteps in the hall to fade away. The earlier amusement is gone from his face, replaced by what I can only describe as trepidation. I know that look all too well. When he's like this, he's expecting shit about to go down at some point soon.
That wasn't very nice, Ash. What was that with Isabella earlier? You're usually subtler with your questions.
They hired you.
Hired me who? Don't change the subject yet. What's really going on here?
The Wrights. Luke and Hannah Wright. You said your next gig is with them.
Is that what this is all about?
Just be careful around them. You have no idea what you're dealing with when it comes to that couple. I'd rather you stay as far away from them as possible, but you're already here. Isabella's their real estate agent. Seriously, of all the people in Luxburn.
Okay. I guess I'll just have to take your word for it.
Now people know about him. He nods, claps a comforting hand on my back, and turns to leave without another word. He's never been good with those. More often, he fumbles with whatever it is he wants to say, but his actions alone are enough to tell me how grateful he is for the trust. He reaches for the knob as soon as he gets to the door, but he doesn't turn it. Instead, he looks back and gestures with his head towards the table. I don't need to follow his line of sight to know that what he's going to ask about. He's likely taken notice of it the moment that he entered the room.
You back on those? I haven't seen you taking them in a year.
Yeah, I kinda had to. It got worse after the film fest. The dreams, that is.
Damn.
I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon.
Heard about that. Don't drop it, though. You don't want Becca scolding you. Consider that a small victory.
You don't have to tell me. She already did. Rebecca and Bella both gave me an earful after I said the opposite. Promised them I wouldn't, but you can never tell. Hopefully, once I feel better, I'll be able to think about it properly. Speaking of Bella, she didn't open up to me, but maybe with you and Rebecca.
Yeah, I'll try. I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to her.
Thanks. That's all I'm asking.
This time, when he reaches the door, he lets it close fully behind him without glancing back. A mild draft sweeps into the room as I close the door behind him. slightly disturbing the papers on the nearby fridge. A lone note flutters by my feet, the letters on the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. Immigrant Mansion, Hannah Wright, 11 a.m. for luxury living. After Ash's warnings, they all hold a different meaning now. October 27th, Thursday. Midnight. The next 2 days rush by in a blur, altogether leaving a collective mess of work suddenly piling up and newly expected acquaintances or friends. Depends on how you look at it, really. Either way, I'm stuck developing these photos at 3 in the morning to reach a deadline set by an overeager art director. Don't get me wrong, Julius is good, he has a vision, and knows exactly what he wants, but damn, he can be too enthusiastic sometimes.
Doesn't matter when you couldn't sleep anyway.
There is nothing new in it, of course. After years of working as a freelance photographer, it's simply something I have grown used to. Get to know people, build a client base, do good work, and cash in some late hours if need be. Rinse and repeat. It certainly takes a while to get some footing in the field, but it's the kind of thing that pays off in the long run as long as you just keep at it. Give it enough time, you might end up with big names on your client list. Names like the Wrights in particular. I never did pay much attention to them, but it's virtually impossible not to hear about them when a local news channel or paper has something to say about their name. A party here, an acquisition there. Sometimes it's a new business venture, other times it's everyday gossip that typically follows people around like them. Not in a million years did I ever imagine I would end up working for such a high-profile couple. And between that and the fuss that comes with it, it leaves me no time to ponder over what happened to Isabella or why Ash is so adamant that we keep her away from the pair.
They do seem like the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
Sure, there was a rumor running around years ago about him being involved in some business scandal. But just like every gossip blown out of proportion by the media, nothing ever came of it, and eventually it simply died down. Much is definitely left to be said for the husband, but I doubt a woman like Miss Wright would pick him if he doesn't have any good points at all. Miss Wright, Hannah herself, though. She ain't particularly bad the way the press makes her out to be. A bit too forward for a married woman, maybe, but not as bad as what's on the tabloids. Not that I ever read those. Ashton would give me the flack for just staring at one. Rubbish, he called them once. I think he's just pissed because they have often put the local police in a bad light. Although with a life as public as the Wrights, no wonder it's the woman who often gets the crappy end of the stick. I can't help but feel sorry for her. She's actually a really nice person when given the chance. Heck, she might even have ended up friends with Rebecca and Isabella too, if they weren't living worlds apart. Probably. The beat quickly pulls me back before my thoughts travel any further. In one practice motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding on a drying rack and amble over my makeshift dark room to get to the last photos from the water bath. Inside the converted broom closet, the film processor lets out another soft clack before going on its standby mode. At its mouth, a lone photograph sits on the tray, barely visible with a lack of light. It's the last one tonight for the set Miss Wright had requested. I don't usually make this a habit, giving away stuff, that is. It's bad for the business, no matter how well-intentioned or generous that you are. This exception, however, she was nice enough to ask after all, and was a good enough companion up until the awkward turn in her chit-chat that was taken. Even if she didn't ask, I probably would have given her a few prints just for the hell of it. This right ain't such a bad subject matter to begin with. And maybe this is just me, but for someone who has everything at the palm of her hands, all the money in the world, a loving husband, yeah, I don't think he really knows how loving he is or isn't, and a plenty big mansion to call home, she's lonely. Yep, Zach knows. Zach is a smart man. He knows that she's lonely. Wow. She doesn't just appear like it. She shows it in the tone of her voice, how she moves, and most certainly in her smile. Always hidden behind the glamour for the world to never see. Sometimes for people like her, small things like these helps. A little reminder that the world can be kind as well. Water drips from the paper as I blindly pick it up and gently lay it on another tray holding a decent amount of photo flow. A few seconds under the solution is all it needs before it's ready for drying. No good rushing this last one, even if my body's already screaming for some decent snooze. My hand fumbles for the light switch, moving towards it with familiarity, while I fish for a squeegee among the mess of tools on a drawer with the other. The bulb flickers twice before its glow settles and casts a soft light in the teeny space. When I glance back down, squeegee in hand, ready to finish the process and finally call it a night.
What on earth?
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those zombie things, huh? What on earth, he says. Yep. Oh no, it's her! It's Hannah! Her head is gone. What? Blurred and distorted beyond recognition, rather. Oh shit. I thought it was going to be one of the zombie things that Hannah's even seen and Zachary's seen. The area completely smudged over, leaving no trace of the same sweet smile the good woman carried in all the previous pictures.
Damn, that was too careless.
A common mistake to make, of course, if one is negligent enough to pick at a newly processed photo in the dark, like I apparently did. It has happened before, loads of times actually, but I still can't help but feel a small pang of frustration over the one mistake a newbie would likely make. With a sigh, I reach up for the switch again, intending to develop a new one from scratch.
It could pass off for one of those supernatural pictures they show on TV, though.
Yeah, for sure. A memory clicks, one cursory thought in the sea of many, in a short yet distinct second from the day before. A glimpse is all I got, but it's enough to burn the image into my mind. There was a shadow. Wow. Yup. No! He's remembering. Oh god, that's so creepy. He's remembering seeing it. He thought he was seeing crap, and now he's remembering what he saw and why that picture turned out the way it did. No! A woman. In her 20s or 30s, maybe? But with how gone her flesh alone has become, it's not possible to tell her at first glance. Her skin itself has already taken a sickly pale color, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her entire body. Bony hands grip Miss Wright's neck like a noose, staining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes.
Zachary?
Yeah. Not for me, but for Miss Wright.
Zach, is something the matter?
Oh no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something, that's all. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
Damn. Woo! The memory alone is enough to make me retch. I brushed it off then. A trick of the eye, I told myself, or a product of the heat. The weather has been unexpectedly warm recently, so it shouldn't be too surprising for such things to happen, right? And well, blaming this on the usual fatigue, an overlooked You know, an overworked brain, the weather, or an amateur error on my part, well, that's far more convenient. It makes a whole lot more sense than what a small voice inside my head whispers now. The same teeny voice that only makes itself known when something is afoul. The same one that lent a curious ear to Isabella's worries about the mansion. And with each second I spend staring at this photograph, the murmurs in my head only grow louder against my ears. Somebody has to know. Show the photo to Hannah or show the photo to Ash. Wow. Ooh. What a tough choice here we got that could determine the outcome of the end of the visual novel. What do you say, Addie? Who do we show this picture to?
Ash.
Yeah, because Ash is less invested, I guess. Oh. Addie's saying Ash. Part of me wants to say show Hannah, but you know what?
Well, what's Hannah gonna do? Because Hannah.
Yeah, I think Zachary. I think the more plausible thing though would be for him to show Ash as well. I think he
Yeah,
would,
because he's gonna want to discuss it, not just show Hannah.
yeah,
Because Hannah's gonna think, because she's not a photographer, so she's gonna think he just messed up the photo.
yeah. Someone has to know. Yeah, let's show it to Ash. He's our best friend as well. Ash will give me flack for this. I know he will. I can already hear what he's going to say about this the moment I bring it up. Hell, before he even sees anything, I'll wager. The guy is a skeptic through and through, and it'll take more than my account for him to even consider this. But when you've been there, seen something enough to raise the hairs to the back of your neck, and leave you wanting to flee or hide, what he thinks is the least of my concerns. I am no hero. That's a title best reserved for somebody else. Still, if this will help him change his mind, it's worth a try. Isabella's gone and done the same thing, didn't she? Isabella's gone and done the same thing, didn't she? Outside, the sun has yet to rise. It's I've still got a few hours before dawn. Good enough time to mull over how I'll go about this with him. Plenty of space to check if I'll get the same result if I redo this process again. The film processor hums back to life at my touch. The light switch gives out a soft click, and darkness embraces the small closet again.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
Alright. Thursday morning, 27th. Sometimes I wish Ash would make himself easier to find. 24 messages, 13 phone calls, and 1 visit to his flat later, I still have no idea which rock in Luxford he went off to hide under again. It kind of reminds me of Honeyboo earlier, Addie. Hiding under a rock. The guy has his own place, but he refuses to stay in it. Has his own phone, but doesn't answer any of his calls or give any indication he's gotten any of my messages. Most of the time, he'll just show up on my front door. Sometimes in the middle of the night, complaining how uncomfortable it is to sleep at the back of his car. As if the old couch in my flat is any better. Nothing new from him, though, but a bit frustrating, really. There's the police precinct, of course. Then again, he's not there most of the time either. And if that's also true for today, he's likely not on another stakeout. There's nothing much to do for me but to wait, if that's the case.
Let's just hope I'm lucky enough today.
Thursday morning still. While Luxborn is a relatively peaceful city boasting a low crime rate, its precinct stays abuzz with activity. And as soon as I open the glass front door, murmurs coming from the people waiting in the lobby welcome me. Officers can occasionally be seen shuffling in and out of the rooms, greeting civilians with a casual smile and a polite nod. Some, though, look a little worse for wear, like the receptionist who looked at me with much disdain the moment I arrived. Thankfully, I won't have to deal with him today. Before I can even step in, Ashton's voice, though low, comes from a hallway adjacent to the lobby.
Not even for just 1 minute?
No. The case was dismissed, remember?
You were the one handling that case.
If you want access to those records, you've got to ask Chief. I was taken off it before shit went to hell. Why do you even bother? Even Professor Clark seems to have given up on that.
Well, Never mind, you won't understand.
Right. I know you owe Professor Clark a lot, but the right guy isn't just someone you mess with. They've got the money. Who knows what else gets swept under the rug with them involved?
That takes a special kind of ignorant not to know.
And a smart person to know which boundaries he can't cross. You're a bright guy, you'll figure it out. In any case, I've got to get going. Another missing person case on my hand. Benjamin on the front desk looks like he's about to maul someone after the 4th one yesterday.
Damn, all these missing people.
Murders, people missing, what a time to be alive. Man, I miss the old Luxburn.
You and me both. I'll see ya. Gonna go grab some lunch.
He notices me first as soon as he enters the lobby and pauses. Confusion briefly crosses his face until I fish out the phone from my pocket and wave it up. Frowning, he pulls his own mobile out, wordlessly fiddling with it for a few seconds before sighing heavily. There ain't any annoyance in him when he glances up, though. Only mild exasperation and what might be a hint of amusement.
Stop taking pointers from Isabella. This is gonna get old soon.
At least use your phone properly.
It's an alarm clock, a good note-taking device, a halfway decent camera, and maybe a music player too. If I'm being nice. What else do I need it for?
I don't know, keep it in contact maybe?
He went there. When he merely shrugs, I know I've struck a chord. He's far from holding a piece of technology in contempt, of course. Ash has always been nothing but practical from the start, and technology is useful. Only when he gets too focused on one thing, like a case he's handling, he tends to forget there are other things around him. A little reminder and a nudge in the right direction can get him a long way.
I've got an email on that social media site the girls roped us into joining.
That doesn't make any sense. Also, you've got an account before any of us had one.
For policing purposes? Anyway, why are you here? I thought you have something scheduled today. Or...
That was yesterday. Look, about that, there's something I want you to see.
He stops me with a tap on my shoulder, walks past me, straight to the door, and gestures with his head towards the very irked receptionist when I raise an eyebrow in question.
Over lunch. I haven't eaten anything since last night, and Benjamin there doesn't really like loiterers around here.
Wordlessly, I follow after him, but not after sending the poor guy behind the table an apologetic look. So here they are at the Sizer Bucks coffee cafe, it looks like. As expected, he takes a seat in the furthest corner of the cafe, a good way away from the window, but easily allows a view of who comes and goes. Secluded enough not to be disturbed by the lunch hour rush or be overheard by a curious bystander. If I didn't know this is lunch he invited me to, I would automatically assume I got dragged into another stakeout. After years of knowing him, though, he has simply become one of my many habits that I've gotten used to. Food arrives minutes later. A slice of vegetation quiche for me. Meanwhile, Ashton has opted for a cup of coffee, plus a gracious serving of...
You having cake for lunch?
He shrugs and then proceeds to dig in without even a hint of remorse. Frankly, it's like seeing a child get his Christmas present early.
Don't tell Becca. I'll get an earful. It's just for today.
You should listen to her, though. The kind of work you do, you'll need to eat something other than sweets. I don't want to see you drop dead in front of my apartment again.
I told you, just this once. Have you been hanging out with Becca lately? You're beginning to sound like her.
Just for some recipes. But she has the right to worry, you know? It's like she's taking care of 2 kids. One bitches on sweets, while the other on cup noodles. At least Bella knows how to cook.
Hey, I can at least boil something. Wait, that's easy, right? I mean, you just put water in and...
Yeah.
No, don't even think about it. You destroyed your own kitchen once by sticking a pressure cooker on it. I think my sister is a whole lot better than you. And this is coming from someone who has no other choice but to eat her cooking for some time.
To be fair, he genuinely appears offended at that last remark. Hate will be too strong of a word to describe how Sis and him usually interact whenever they're in the same room. Though whatever appropriate word it is, I can say with most certainty that the feeling's mutual for both of them. Ash thinks she nags way too much, while Sis thinks he's a trouble magnet that I should stay away from. They're both technically right in their own assessments.
How's your sister, by the way? Still bullying white guys?
Wow. What should I say? She's married to one now? Or you're the one who started it? I'm just gonna go with him. He's my best friend. She's my sister, but... Yeah, I think that's what he would say. I don't know.
You do know she's married to one now.
I hope she doesn't end up poisoning him with her cooking.
Damn.
Pot calling the kettle black?
Pot calling the kettle black.
She can't be better than me.
Actually, she is now. They're planning to start a restaurant sometime in the future.
I was bedridden for days after eating some of the stuff she whipped up. And now you're letting her cook for other people?
Don't exaggerate. It was just for one day, and you're the one who refused to leave your apartment. You should come by, though. Sis gave birth a few days ago. I've only seen the pictures. But I might visit sometime after everything's settled down. Too many backlogs to go through for now.
No way in hell. She'll just find something to criticize again. Last time, it was Shirley.
He makes a show of being utterly mortified, though I'm quite sure he doesn't mean any of that. He might not say it straight out, but I'm pretty sure he's enjoying the small visits whenever he can. Something about it reminds me of his own family, sort of like making up for the one he never got back after his parents separated. Sore spot, that one topic, one thing he never ever brings up in any conversation, if he can help it, and I've never seen the need to be nosy. There are some wounds that are just not meant to open, and for the both of us, the sentiment goes the same way.
As if you ain't already on a shit list. You're just afraid of her.
Wow.
In your dreams.
Funny.
But I'll think about it. Can't just drop this thing at the moment.
His change of tone is subtle, but his aggravation over the matter hangs completely palpable in the air.
Still no closer?
The opposite, actually. There's been some slip-ups here and there. Careless mistakes, and let's just say I'm waiting for him to make another one. What about you? How are things on your end?
All piled up on top of the other. But I can manage. Still recovering from the expenses for the movie, so the surge in new projects helps. And well, there's this one thing.
Yeah, the expression on his face grows more puzzled with each photo I spread out on the table. Yeah. There's about 8 of them. All of it reprints of the same thing. Miss Wright's distorted head on the photos. He takes a minute to go through each, eyeing the prints warily. The furrow on his brow doesn't ease even as he gathers all of it into one pile and sets them into a neat stack in front of me with a heavy sigh.
Hannah Wright?
Yeah. How did you...
The locket. She never takes it off. Evan's family heirloom.
I won't even think about asking why or how he knows that. If he's investigating them, he'll likely have already dug up every unimaginable dirt on both of them, including family history.
Are you done with your work with them?
Yesterday, yeah. It's just a small feature for a magazine. Interviews, photos, standard stuff, nothing big. But see, here's the thing. I don't know how else to put this out there without sounding crazy, but there really is something odd with that place.
Yeah, for sure.
Remember the letter?
He drags in a breath, reaches up his nose, and pinches it, like the action alone will help grant him all the patience of the world to continue this very conversation.
Please tell me this isn't about that again.
No, Ash, you've got to listen this time.
I am listening, and I can't believe that just came out of your mouth. These are some blurred out photos, and that letter is just a stupid prank. I expected this from Isabella, not you.
Damn. He doesn't want to believe it.
You're the photographer here. I don't see any need to get worked up over this.
I know what you mean, but will you hear me out first?
Ash leans back on his seat and doesn't say anything further. He gestures for me to continue with a wave of his hand, impatience clearly on his face. Any other person telling him this, and he'd walk out without even batting an eye. I suppose the only reason he's giving me the benefit of the doubt is because we know each other so well.
Ash, I don't easily buy into these things as much as you do. Yesterday, though, behind Hana.
And he blinks at that, his eyebrows lifting momentarily before settling into a very deep frown.
Hana? Since when were you on a first-name basis with the right missus?
Why does that even matter?
Uh-oh.
I thought you said this was just a gig.
His voice stays level, but the accusation in it is as clear as day. Uh-oh. It hits a nerve in me, somehow. More than that tone usually does. I do get where he's coming from, but that's not the point here. Do I say that's not the point here? It's really just a gig. I'm gonna say that's not a point here.
Yeah.
Relationship status updated. Of all the things I said, my connection to the rights is the first thing he points out. As much as I want to keep my own annoyance at bay, I can't stop it from seeping into my voice.
That's completely beside the point here, Ash.
I warned you, Zach.
Oh shit.
I get it, alright? But you can't just expect me to turn it down after I made a commitment to a client. I've got to put food on my table.
I didn't say you shouldn't, but you should not be messing with them.
I wasn't messing with them.
And this isn't?
He waves the photos in front of me before dropping the pile on the table with a loud smack. I don't need to look to know we've already attracted some attention from the lunchtime crowd. Besides, turning away from him feels almost the same as admitting that he's right. There are things more important than this damn case right now. I wish he would just see that.
It was a job, and that ain't how these photos were intended to come out. You think I'd go out of my way just to edit something like this? There's something weird going on here.
And you think Luke Wright will see it that way?
Damn.
You think the right missus will find it amusing?
I did not do this for my amusement, Ash. People's lives might be at stake here.
If you understood that in the first place, we wouldn't be having this stupid talk. Luke fucking Wright is a dangerous man, Zach. Keep hanging around them and you'll find yourself burnt to a crisp in your apartment or floating down a river 3 days later.
Damn. He's saying Luke's fucking dangerous. That's what he's saying, ain't it? He's like, you're messing. I think Ash is his good friend, and I think Ash knows that, you know, by the fact that he called her by first name, that they're getting. I don't think he thinks that they're doing anything like freaky or anything like that, but he knows that they're beyond a professional level. They're at a friendship level, and he probably knows that Luke has that jealous, you know, side of him or whatever, and that Luke's a dangerous man, and he's warning his friend Zach. But if you're not careful, he's gonna fucking fry you in a fucking fire or, you know, send you floating down a river in pieces or whatever. He's telling his friend that this Luke guy is dangerous as fuck. Pretty scary. Especially we already know he's a fucking asshole from hell. But then you put the jealousy in a dangerous man and it just magnifies exponentially.
This case is...
Will you stop talking about the damn case for once and just listen to me?
Damn.
Why do you think Isabella's...
Don't you dare bring her into this. We're talking about you and this stupid...
Oh shit.
Oh, of course you don't want to talk about it. Because you're fucking afraid there's some damn truth to what she's saying now that there's two of us.
Every expression drains from his face as soon as the words are out of my mouth. They've hit their mark. Look at his face. Each utterance scathes, sharp with nothing but anger and the truth. Yet they are also things I won't typically say out loud in good company, and rather ease people into before letting it fall. Almost immediately, a wave of regret washes over me.
Ash, dude, that ain't what I meant to.
You said enough, Zach.
Damn. Without another word, he stands up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor, all while my brain races to find something to just fix this. Ours ain't a fragile friendship by any means. I like to think we've gone past this stage when we find everything the other says insulting. But there are times when letters and phrases alone can cut deeper than any physical blade. Mine might even leave a scar. He doesn't let me, however. Instead, he sets a card in front of me. University of Luxembourg, Andrew Clark, PhD. He thinks he's crazy. Oh shit. He wants him to go see a fucking psychologist. Ouch. Wow. What do you think about that, Eddie? What do you think about that?
That's crazy.
I mean, what would you think if I was telling you, "Hein, I saw a zombie last night. Here's a picture. Look at this zombie I saw." You'd probably think I was crazy too, wouldn't you? I mean, to be fair, if I explained something like the images they're seeing and I was trying to say I woke up and saw this thing, you would tell me, "Oh, you were just dreaming. You're probably just tired from working too much or whatever," right? I mean, let's be real.
I don't know. Zombies are real. I'm just saying. I've been preparing for the apocalypse.
You're
I don't know
prepared
what
for
you're
the
talking about.
other?
I'm
You'd
just
probably
kidding.
tell me you've been playing too many games, honey. All right, wow.
Yeah.
The name is familiar, but amidst the cloud of remorse swirling inside my head, I can't bring myself to recall where I've seen this name.
You shouldn't be running blind. Call this guy. He'll be less inclined to shout at you. Might even talk some sense into you.
Wow. I don't see his face when he leaves, and it is only when the store's bell chimes again do I breathe. The afternoon on Thursday. Of all the places, it never crossed my mind I'll end up wandering into the public library today, considering I rarely have ever visited. Somehow, there has always been this kind of disconnect between me and books in general. Sure, some of them held my attention in my youth during the brief times a day I was left to my own and nothing to do. I went through the whole grand collection as a matter of fact. I read all of them twice or thrice. I love how he says thrice, even. But they never did hold it for long. Most of it never even stuck. Especially after I learned it's simply easier to do things myself if I want to learn stuff. Yeah, a lot of people learn more by doing something than reading it in a book. I know I'm like that. I think a lot of people are. But this ain't the plan in the first place. But after that argument, I really don't have any other choice now. Nothing but quiet greets me inside, though. Not the typical mom one would associate with a library, but one akin to a hush prior to an impending trouble. Or perhaps I'm just overthinking again. I really like to think I'm just thinking too much about all this. This is just a lack of sleep talking here to me. Regardless, apart from a group of students murmuring in a corner somewhere, the place is free of all its usual visitors. All while my footsteps echo in a manner unsettling enough to raise the hairs at the back of my neck. And much to my relief, it does not take me long to find him, being the only occupant in this side of the room. Professor Andrew Clark. Aha. I've never personally met this man, but Ash has spoken highly of him several times. In fact, he is Ash's go-to guy when something's troubling him with a case. My steps are unsure as I approach. At any rate, he greets me with a warm smile like a grandson he hasn't seen in a long time.
Ashton's friend, I take it. Zachary. You'll have to forgive this old man if I don't get your name right.
Oh no, you got it. It's Zach. Zachary Steele, Professor Clark.
He gestures me at the empty seat across from the table while he returns to his books. The next couple of minutes pass in relative silence as he continues to read and take notes from a pile that he's accumulated on a table. Maybe I should have taken a book first before heading here. But before I can even get far into that idea, the professor clicks the book shut and sets it atop the stack next to him.
Ashton told me you were hoping to get answers from me.
And at my confused look, he lets out a small chuckle.
He sent a message ahead. A friend needs to have some sense knocked into him. In verbatim.
Oh, wow.
That boy never changes.
I like his honesty.
I wasn't really expecting you to do that.
Although I'm not quite sure what I could share, I'll do my best to help.
Of course, there are a lot of things I want to ask. How do we get out of this mess in the first among tens, hundreds of concerns in my head? But in the presence of someone I barely know now, the thoughts won't easily form. He is nothing but patient, however, and with enough time to mull over, a question finally forms.
Do you believe in the paranormal, Professor?
Ah.
It's supernatural, actually. Don't worry. It's a common mistake to make. But they really are two different things. The other one deals with what we can't explain at the moment, while the other are things we may not have an explanation to. Here.
He places a couple of papers in front of me, the very same one he was writing on earlier. A study of Luxborn's supernatural culture in a nutshell.
A friend of mine wrote that a few years ago. He took interest in the city after reading about the stories. I have to agree with him here. Even stories dealing with things you don't see with the naked eye can be rife with culture, and this city thrives on it. Just ask the locals.
Like ghosts, for example.
Among other things. The interpretation has changed over the years, though. Various religions, for example, have their own version. It might not always be a spirit now.
Yeah, he is right. A lot of people call them ghosts. A lot of people call them spirits.
It could be a memory, or an imprint, an echo, so to speak. Some are born from curses, even, out of great anger, hatred, or pain. There was this one story. Ah, here it is.
Another book is pulled out from the stack and placed open atop the papers, while he speaks with such passion that it makes me wonder if some part of him believes these to be true. It is interesting, though, even if I'm personally not a fan of such stories. And soon hours pass without my notice.
In the end, it asked for something to be sacrificed in order to destroy whatever anchors the wraith.
Oh wow, he's talking about race now.
A sad tale, that one. But the simplest grudge can bring the ugliest, even in the kindest person, with some people none the wiser. Oh, I'm sorry. I just went on.
Nah, it's good. Are you familiar with the Ermengarde mansion, though?
Of course. That goes without saying. Who hasn't heard of the local legend? Although, word of the mouth is, someone has already bought it.
Ah, yeah. The right couple. It was a close friend who handled that sale.
So I heard. Well, don't think the house being bought by anyone would stop us from talking about it. What is it about the mansion, then?
I just want to ask what you think of it, sir.
We're going to need more than an afternoon for that, young man.
Ha ha ha.
You see, it's the kind that has changed over the years, passed down from one person to the next. Sometimes, it's the Lord William who haunts the place. There are versions where it's the lady of the house. But my favorite, a personal favorite, would have to be the ones that followed after the disappearance of the kind daughter.
Well, what about these then?
Oh shit. And there is a moment of hesitation on my part before I pull out Miss Wright's photos and lay them all down in front of him. Unlike Ash, though, the professor inspects each print with great interest. That gives me some hope, at least.
When were these taken?
Okay. I love the art in this visual novel.
Just the other day. Do you think those are the same?
Perhaps. Perhaps not. There were certainly instances when the film would pick up what the human eyes weren't able to see. But then, it could also have been human error.
I didn't edit it in any way. You have my word on that, Professor. They all just came out like that.
Then, if it is what you're thinking, I strongly advise against doing something reckless and further tangling with them. Accounts about them may be riveting to you, but most of it often ends in an unpleasant manner.
What about those people in the house? If there is something in there, shouldn't they know? I'm sure they're already familiar with the legends, but...
Some people might deserve it, however.
Oh, wow.
Deserve what, sir?
All of a sudden, the tenderness in the professor's eyes disappear, his face becoming absolutely unreadable. As though catching himself, he hastily clears his throat. He gathers his books and rises from his seat.
Professor?
I'm sorry. I just remembered something I neglected to do. You'll have to excuse me, Zachary.
All right. Do you need any help with that?
Don't let my looks fool you, son. I can still carry a few hundreds. I've been doing this for years. I'll see you some other time if you have any other questions.
Wow.
Of course. It was nice knowing you, Professor.
Damn. He doesn't hear it, however. In a few short strides, he's out of the library, leaving me and every piece of his whole mess amidst the oppressive stillness. Despite the answers gleaned, more questions surfaced. If there is even a single way out of this, I hope we find it soon. Zachary's room in the evening. The moon is well into the night sky by the time I make it back home. My heavy treads and the sound of traffic outside echoing in my ears, filling the empty room with some semblance of life. Nana would scold me if she ever hears me walk like that, but after today, I really can't give a damn about everything. The mattress creaks under my weight as I unceremoniously flop down onto it, and I find myself looking at the paper under my grip. An invitation and a request to cover an event, the Wright's housewarming party, tomorrow evening. If only it were that easy, but it'll give me a chance to talk to her. So that explains why he went to the housewarming party, Addie. Yep. Alright.
Exactly.
So this is all before the housewarming party, which we've already seen from Hannah's side, which that was a disaster. About that thing in their house. With a sigh, I let my hand fall to the side of the bed along with the invitation. I'll think about it tomorrow, when my head ain't muddled with thoughts of a headless woman and the haunting smiles of a damn ghost. Belatedly, it occurs to me that the last meal I ate had been the one with Ashton. And an empty, gnawing ache makes itself known, but I can't bring myself to stand up now. The day was a complete waste of time, and frankly, quite a disappointment. I don't like this. The lack of certainty, the disquiet, the lack of stable ground to stand on, the part where I do not know what will come tomorrow. Ever since that damn letter, everything has been thrown out of the loop. I wish everything stayed the same. Routine would have been easier to make sense of than of all of this. Closing my eyes, I'll let the noise from the streets below just lull me to sleep. At the very least, that's the one thing that hasn't changed. Alright guys, and with that, we are going to go ahead and wrap up Livestream on the Moonshine number 300, part 8. Looks like a good spot to stop. It's not a cliffhanger, but it kind of is a cliffhanger because it looks like Zachary, with as tired as he is and everything that, you know, the pictures he was developing and stuff like that, has brought back more of his nightmares about his maw and his paw. And we will get into that and witness more of all that haunts Zachary in part 9, Livestream on the Moonshine number 301, probably in a day or two, guys. We'll see how I feel tomorrow after working all day, but yeah, we'll get into this real soon, guys. I want to go and thank you guys for watching. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, be sure to comment down below. Let me know how you're enjoying this visual novel, The Letter. Let me know, you know, which character you like the best so far, which one you relate with the most, whatever it is. And also, guys, let me know if you believe in the paranormal, or if you believe the super, what am I thinking of, Addie?
Supernatural.
Supernatural, yeah, that's the word I'm thinking of, yeah. And you guys believe in the supernatural. You guys believe in ghosts, basically. You believe that after somebody dies, their spirit or their ghost
I do believe in
continues
ghosts. I
to...
do believe in ghosts.
You do believe in ghosts, Addie?
How can you not?
I don't know what I believe, to be honest. Alright, guys, with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. We're going to also read the journal and look at those relationships. Let's go ahead and take a quick gander at the relationships before we go ahead and sign off here. Look at the relationship between Zachary and Isabella through the roof after, you know, he told her about everything that happened with his mom and his paw and everything like that. Hannah, we knew that was down from Hannah's flirting the week before the housewarming party and all that. Ashton, negative. Yeah, because of the argument they had in the cafe there. Yeah, he's not real close to Luke for sure. Looks like he's really good friends with Rebecca as well. But of course, his dearest friend is certainly Isabella right now. And look how much it went up with their bonding and, you know, with him opening the door for her when she came in the night before and needing somebody to talk to. And then with him opening up and telling her the truth about his parents, which I'm sure wasn't easy. So there you guys go. There's the relationship status for at least Zachary and his friendships, you know, with everybody. But we will get and we'll read the journal and catch up on the journal. Maybe we'll do that at the start of the next part to catch everybody up. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching LiveStream on the Moonshine number 300. It's been a pleasure. You guys have a great night out there. Have a great weekend. We'll see you in the next part. And to you, if you're watching this on YouTube, have a great night or day, whatever time of day it is when you're watching this. Have a good one, everybody. This has been Zachary tonight, and Addie as well. Peace, everybody. Take care.